G'day, welcome to another episode of Fearless Singer. Well, I'm delighted.
Yay!
Because I have one of my best friends and collaborators, Katerini Manolatos. You're not new to the podcast though, are you?
No, I'm not. We had a chat a little while ago about music therapy, I think, and being Greek.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That was probably about a year ago. I think you were probably one of my first guests, to be honest.
There you go.
So we've had a lot of exciting things happen since then. We've done a concert together through Elinikis Phones. That's the Greek choir that Kat and our mate Christina put together with George, Christina's partner. And so we've had a couple of concerts. And we've also started a project together, and it's called Girl from Greece. Yay! Because we're very much interested in, our stories and our stories through music, and in particular our mothers and our grandmothers and our aunties' stories. Kat, do you want to talk through a little bit about the project?
Yeah, and like you just said then, Mel, it's really sort of, have a cup of coffee. It's really sort of growing out of this connection with us growing up as part of the Greek diaspora, which is people who represent as Greek heritage who live in other places in the world. And there's millions of us around, not just Australia and America and South Africa and Canada, and still really connect very strongly with their Greek culture. So Girl from Greece sort of sprouted out of this idea that we kept talking about this experience and we kept working on projects, and there's more to come, that we're talking more about our Greek heritage and exploring that. So, and people were wanting more. I feel like we have this beautiful audience, and as we keep developing, we get these people coming out of the woodwork that want to know more about what we do and want to share their stories. And so we sort of needed a place to put all of that and give it a name, because I think half the time you sort of go, yes, that's what I do, but where is that? Is that in this business that I do? Is it in that business? And then Mel and I were like, well, why don't we just make a business? And so here we are, Girl from Greece, and it's a landing place for all of those things. And it started off with us, the two of us, and now it's grown to include more people and more experiences and more music and more culture.
Absolutely. And it also started with our shared love of Nana Mouskouri. I was about to say Katerini Manolatos.
It does start from there.
Oh my gosh. It's Friday morning. It's been a big week.
It has.
But it started with my love of Katerini Manolatos. But we also have a shared love of Nana Mouskouri, and we actually, we started, a couple of sort of micro concerts.
Yes.
Singing her work and talking about our stories and talking about her story and drawing parallels. And we can't really talk much about it, but we actually have a very big project about Nana Mouskouri, which will happen next year, hopefully around Brisbane Festival time. But in the meantime, we actually have a concert coming up on the 23rd of September, and that's going to be at Speak Up Studio in Spring Hill. That's probably the first time I got the name of
Did you
that.
see my nod? Well done, Mel. Gold star.
I've been saying Speak Out for a good month.
Yeah. Good.
And so we've just created a lot of music that's close to our heart. Some Nana songs, but but a nice collection. And we're also collaborating with Christina Zidi Lignou, and did I say her last name properly?
I don't know whether it's more Xidi Ligno? Xidi. But it looks like an X when you see it in English, so that's always tricky. Yes.
Yeah, yes. So she's our dear friend, and just a phenomenal musician.
Oh, incredible.
Honestly, she's our maestro in Elinikis Phones, and it's just a masterclass watching her work. So she'll be performing with us as well, and George on piano, and it's actually really exciting.
Yeah.
Who are we bringing?
We're bringing people from the top of Australia. Paul Chantrill, my guitarist that I have been collaborating with for the last 10 years. I reckon it's that.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Who is an incredible guitarist and just open to exploring all types of music. And because I started singing a bit of Greek music, he was really enthusiastic. So that sort of started that journey off, collaborating, and it's taken us to Greece and it's taken us all around Australia. And then we have Nikos Papadimitriou, who is our bouzouki player, who Paul and I met when we did the Greek Longsdale Festival in Melbourne, and he was our bouzouki player, and he was such a great player and such a great guy, just such a beautiful person. So I feel like we found a lovely little crew there.
I haven't met Paul yet, but I met Nico. He was here as part of the Rebetiko concert. Conducted by Georgia Ellis. That was a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
But this guy is just has this joie de vivre and very, very passionate about the music, which is really exciting. So that was through a musical odyssey.
Yes.
Yeah. When did you form that?
So we formed that. We didn't call it a musical odyssey for a little while. We started off singing at the Yungaburra Folk Festival, Paul and I. He needed a singer for some of his original works, and we met at something. I don't know what it was, some, music workshop thing in Cairns, and sort of just, I don't know, fell into friendship. And so we did the Yungaburra Folk Festival. Then we started to decide we wanted to do a little bit more in the Greek, and so we did some concerts in Cairns, and we called the concert a musical odyssey. And that's where it sort of started, and we were like, oh, we sort of like this name. It sort of connects to the Odyssey, which is where my dad's from, the island of Ithaca. Think Ulysses, the Odyssea. So we thought, that sounds really beautiful, very Greek. And that sort of started that sort of journey. Then we picked up a lovely bouzouki player, Costa Vasili, who's now a retired bouzouki player from Sydney, and he was like just a staple in Sydney music bands and phenomenal musician as well. And so then we brought that together and we started touring Australia, and then we thought, let's go to Greece. So Paul and I went to Greece and we presented all of our music to Greek audiences. So our Greek Australian inspired music. And I think that's something that, Mel and I have been just talking about this morning, that, we can't deny that we are Australian born with Greek heritage. And so that gives a new experience to the music as well. And surprisingly, when we were in Greece, we didn't know how people would take our music because there was a difference. Some of the music, well, all of the music that we presented there had no bouzouki, and they loved it. They were just like, oh, we love that interpretation. It was beautiful, something new, something different, something we hadn't heard before. So that's what we want to sort of keep bringing to our audiences, is something new and something they haven't heard before, but still retaining the spirit of the Greek music in there, and our spirit as well.
That's right, because that's just the fact that we moved here and we live here, and we were both born here.
Yes,
it's a big part of who we are. Actually, you're mentioning that when you were in Greece, a lot of the audiences loved your accent.
Yes,
they loved the Australian accent, with the Greek.
Yeah, when I would say words like kardia, and, I don't know, if you're not Greek, you probably just go, oh, that sounds very lovely. But it's not quite right. They're much stronger on the kardia, or so. It just sounds different. But, yeah, you can really hear the Australian accent. And they were like, oh, that's really cute. We really like that. I was like, oh, okay. That's cool. I've been really trying to fix that, but I just can't. I can't move it. The Aussie's still so strong in there.
I have a cousin who lives in Athens and is in a really successful jazz band. Yeah, Gajadillo.
Oh.
Yeah, did I say that correctly? Possibly not. You might Google
the Australian way.
Gajadillo. And my auntie, took our Melissa Samuel over to show her, and she's like, oh, Melissa's trying to sing in Greek. She does try.
She does. We're trying. We're trying hard.
I don't speak Greek. So actually, if we're talking about like quantities, I'm a quarter Greek.
Yeah,
and
there
it's
you
always been my claim to fame. My mother even wrote a poem for me to do in the Eisteddfod,
Yeah.
Eisteddfod, called "I'm a Quarter Greek." And it was to
I need that.
Yeah, to excuse my excessive hand movements, because I always used to be critiqued. That was one of the things that I'd had. My hands did more of the talking.
DNA is very strong.
It is very strong. But yeah, so it like coming back to the Australian element is I identify first as an Australian.
Yeah.
For me, I know it's different for you. You know, you've got a stronger cultural heritage. My grandfather married an Australian, and his brother didn't. He married a Greek woman, and they had more of a traditional Greek life. Whereas my grandfather didn't. He sort of bucked convention.
Yeah.
And this was one of the byproducts.
Yes. Oh, it's so interesting. And I think that's the conversation we keep having about how, that heritage has shaped who we are and how we experience things. And yeah, I really connect with that sometimes, because we did have a very strong Greek upbringing, but then my dad was born in Greece and my mum was born here, and her parents came out when they were quite young, that first generation, and they had a cafe in Byron Bay. So there was no other Greeks there. So, they really did, in essence, grow up Australian, all of them, but with very strong connections to Greek. And then, we still feel like we were pushing against that sometimes, particularly in my upbringing, that we pursued the arts, and all my sisters are artistic. I'm the singer and music therapist, and my sister's a chef, and my other sister's a creative director of a big art company. So it's we sort of bucked that a little bit as well within, and all of that Ferris side of the family are all entrepreneurs and have just done their own interesting things. So even within that, there's different experiences. And I think this is what the Jewish Matchmaker, to quote the Jewish Matchmaker, I don't know if you've seen that show.
On Netflix. I love her.
Yes.
She's so beautiful.
I know. And she said, I can't remember the stats, and I think it was the throwaway stat anyway, but there's, 2 billion Jewish people on the planet, and there's 2 billion different ways of being Jewish. And I was like, yes, that's exactly it. I think and there's, however many billion people in Australia, of ways of being Australian as well. So, we just really love exploring that and our connections to culture.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that. I didn't take that from the
Yeah,
show.
there you go.
I must have been in a bit of a food coma when that happened, but that's beautiful, because that's it. There, we do have commonalities, in whatever culture, but we're all shaped differently by our family stories,
Exactly.
different belief systems.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your family are all, creative entrepreneurs. Same with our family too, but I think that is actually a very strong connection with the Greeks that came over here, because it was very much about, building your own business, because it was a tricky to get into the workforce, you know, when at the time, different times of migration. So you were pretty much either you started a business or, you worked as some kind of, in some kind of labor.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really something we've both bonded on, is our families have both been in cafes and very strong in that Greek cafe culture. And I think that's, that really comes back to that warmth and hospitality that we really, we want that to be very strong. And I think even when we've put our tickets out there, it is an experience of family and friendship as well, because that's really important to us. And I suppose so much of our lives, perhaps, I don't know, but this is somehow my experience, it's been you sort of push that down a little bit, how, friendly we are, and we've just met somebody and we're very happy to cook you a meal and come over. Whereas now we're just no, this is who we are, and you're going to experience that whenever you meet us and whenever you come to one of our concerts. It is about being part of our family now, whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not.
You're
in
in.
the family.
You're in.
It's a Greek cult. But no, you are an extension of our family when you come.
Absolutely.
And the hospitality, it's just part of who we are.
Yeah, we can't help it.
Interestingly, actually, so my grandfather with his brother and his uncle, or kind of uncle, ran a cafe in Bundaberg, and so their father and uncle ran it before them. But yeah, Granddad was known for feeding a lot of the homeless, in Bundaberg at the time. So there'd be like lineups out the door. And Kat said, yeah, my grandfather did exactly the same thing in Byron Bay. It just was just this like, no one in this town while I'm in it is going to be hungry.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that philanthropy is really strong. And, that's what I feel is really strong in the Brisbane Greek community anyway. Like, how many organisations are there to help people? And I mean, my mum and my aunties have all been very heavily involved with like the Philoptochos and the welfare and, just helping people, feeding people. And yeah, I think we need to do the same. Well, we're going to do the same.
Yeah.
We'll fill them with food and love and music.
And music, most importantly.
Music.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know we covered this in our last podcast episode, but I think it's worth just talking through your background when you were young. How did you know that, I don't know, that you could sing or that, or not even that you loved to sing?
Yeah.
Where was the kind of the moment for you?
Well, I have to say I was always singing and always making music. We were put through piano lessons from a young age. My mum actually, all her siblings in Byron Bay in those times, my grandmother and grandfather paid for private tutoring so they could have piano lessons, violin lessons and Greek lessons. So they really valued the arts. So that was just something that continued with us naturally. I played piano, my sister played the saxophone, the other sister also played a bit of piano and violin as well. And I played the euphonium tuba too, by the way. I can't forget that. I can say that really helped with all my breath support. So, we were just always singing in the car, always singing. And I think there was a time when I was about 11 and I was singing in the car and Mum said, oh, you've got a really nice voice. And I said, oh, yeah, like all the teachers have been saying that at school. And she's like, why didn't you tell me this? And I was like, I don't know, just because it's something I've always done. And so she said, would you like to have singing lessons? And I was like, what's that? I didn't know you could learn to sing. I just thought it was something you just could do, because my dad has a beautiful voice and he would always be singing. We'd had cassettes on all the time. Even now we live underneath my parents and I can hear the YouTube blasting with Greek music going, all the time. He used it a lot as therapy in our lives. So that was just, the moment. And then that was it. It just took off and I was doing singing lessons and then I did the Young Conservatorium and then natural progression was to audition for the conservatorium to get into the vocal program. So it just flowed on. I have to say I sort of felt I was just one of those kids that just fell into it. But in saying that, I think that, but Mum said to me, you were always practicing, you were always at the piano. I never had to tell you to practice. You were always progressing because I just had this natural desire to do it. And I think when I started teaching vocal students in my future, you could really see those people who just, it didn't matter about what anyone perceived them to sound like, but they just had the drive and they just wanted to do it for their own feeling. And so I think I was just one of those natural singers that, just really fell into it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We're so opposite. I would give my singing teacher a nervous breakdown. Like before exams. So
all right.
In particular, she's like, Stephens, that's on you. I just wanted to get up on stage without doing any work. And just sing because I thought I could.
Yes.
But yeah, we both actually grew up doing classical.
Yeah.
And then Caterini went and studied classical music. However, I went down the jazz route. But it's interesting that, you know, I remember being 17 and wanted to be Maria Callas.
Yes.
You know.
Whereas I wasn't we talked about this, whereas I was like, don't really know.
Yeah. In particular, I even developed the warble that she had in her late 50s, you know, because I really wanted to be like, I don't know, it was very strange. But you went, okay, no, I'm going to try and make a career out of classical. And you did, but then, you've come back to what you love. Yeah. Isn't that you know, amazing? And also, like, good on you. Because you could have kept going down this route and then not really just feeling a bit being out of alignment with that. Yeah. And a lot of people do that.
I know, it's a really interesting reflection, I think, as you in this place. And I think a lot of it was self-doubt. You know, like, I really reflect and I hear myself back then and go, wow, Kat, like, you had an incredible voice. Like, I remember going to a workshop and the presenter there said, you know, I think you should come to New York and study with me. And I was like,
Richard Miller?
Richard Miller.
Yeah, Richard Miller.
And that never happens. Yeah. And I was just like, like, I had a very strong, lovely mezzo sound. Like, you know, he was like, you know, Mozart's written all over you. And then I just felt like I wanted to do more with the music, and that's when I fell into music therapy. And I love my music therapy work. And now it's like, it's coming to the music now with my connection to it, with my Greek connection, and also that connection of community, and it's an outlet for me too. So when I'm up on stage, Keith Urban talks about this. Someone asked him, you know, do you get the same feeling when you're on stage as if you're in the audience? And he said, it's exactly the same for me. And isn't that wild? And that's how I feel. Like, I think if I'm in the audience or I'm on the stage, I'm connecting. So I just want to create these opportunities to connect without having to worry about, like, where's the career going and how, you know, much is invested in being a singer. It's just, this is just something I love to do now, and hopefully we can sell some tickets.
You're following the thread.
Yes.
There's actually there's a beautiful Greek song which is about this idea of, you know, if you're lost at sea, and, you know, imagine that there's this big, you know, net that comes out over you. It's important for you to just follow that one thread. Do you want to talk us through that song?
Dichti. Yes. This is Nikos Gatsos lyrics. Oh, please go into a deep dive on him. He is incredible. He was very close to Nana Mouskouri. They were very, very close friends, and his poetry is just, it's magical. Like, it just transports you. But if you are in the darkness, if you are struggling in life, all you need is just to take one thread and hold on to it and let it take you where it's going to go. And I think, you know, and if you're lucky, you can start again. It is just deep and beautiful and just, and it's Xarxarchos is the composer.
Yeah, but it's based. Sorry to talk about you. I have that's a.
Oh, this is what we do all the time. It's all
the
good.
Greek side and the Australian side. We love to talk over each other.
It's Melissa.
Yes, that's right. But yeah, that's, you know, what you're talking about. Like, you've always just followed that connection. You know. Yeah. That's beautiful. Like, what a great, you know, thing to have, you know, at such a young age too, you know. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, because you know, this would have happened sort of in your 20s and 30s. Yeah, exactly.
So, we've just followed the path and seen where it's gone, but it's interesting where it's led. And, I think now as well, I feel like my voice is just in a really good place. Like, it was always a very rich, colourful voice, and I remember even my early singing teachers saying that. And you know, those voices need time to settle and mature, and not mature so much, but for the body and the mind to mature into them. And, you know, we're so rushed in this world to think, when you're 20, you should be on the stage on La Scala and that's doing your biggest moment. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. That is big work and it takes a lot for your body and your mind to meet that. So particularly for me anyway. And
for everyone.
Why are we rushing in this? And I feel like, I'm going to say I'm in my 40s now and this is my golden time. I feel like this is it,
I feel like I've just turned 40 and I honestly, I'm so excited about life. I don't know why I feel the need to touch wood right now. Please don't change. But yeah, there is a real profound, what is it? Like a knowing, a confidence or something that takes over the body when you turn 40 and you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it all.
That's it. And we will.
All the things that, present themselves.
Yeah.
Follow them and see what happens. And really, for me, just I have no expectations, like in terms of I'm not too concerned about the outcome. I'm just really excited about the journey and the ride. And,
absolutely.
And that's how I feel about Girl from Greece. It's there are elements to it which is for a non-Greek speaker. It's quite challenging to learn, repertoire in another language. And I do feel like there are a few mindset blocks around the language. Sometimes it just doesn't go in as easy as others.
Yeah, of course, because you don't have that connection to the lyric. Like the word, when you say rainbow, you see the rainbow. I don't even know what the word is in Greek for rainbow. Why did I choose that word? But if you say that in Greek and you don't know what that is, I don't even know what that is if I sung it. You don't get that visual. So it's not a full body experience right now. So it will just take time for that to happen.
I'm looking forward to that, where it feels a little bit more embodied. The language. But we were just talking this morning about even the possibility of taking, one of the Greek songs that I'm, presenting on the 23rd and actually seeing if I could do like a lyrical translation in English, just as a bit of a nod to our, our language here. And also see if we can. I don't know. That would be a challenge in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
To take the story of a Greek song and see if you can interpret it and translate it.
That's
into
right.
English. Yeah, because a lot of the metaphors are completely different. You really have to. I guess that's what's so beautiful about different culture and language is we all have different eyes of seeing and navigating life.
Absolutely,
and it's really quite an expanding experience to do the deep dive into other culture. It's almost like you're like, I've never ever looked at that thing like that, including that idea, that concept of the thread.
Yeah.
Are there any other Greekisms? That's probably a bit of a put you on the spot.
Oh no!
Kind of question.
I think of every song that I ever sing. There's a beautiful song by Mikis Theodorakis, by the lyricist Yorgos Seferis or George Seferis, and he is another incredible poet. He's a Nobel Prize winner, and the song that he wrote, Arnisi, Denial, sometimes people call it Stoperiali or On the Seashore, there is just so many beautiful pictures in your mind when you think of that. So like, on the seashore I wrote your name and then the wind came and blew it away. It's just like, you just picture that on this silent seashore. And I went to that little cove in Cyprus, and it was just amazing and beautiful, and that's where he wrote the poetry. There's obviously some very dramatic ones because us Europeans are quite dramatic.
Got very strong feelings.
Very strong feelings. There's one, I think it's actually Nikos Katsos again and Mikis Theodorakis, Toniro Kapnos, the dream went up in smoke. It went up in flames, actually. Strong feelings there. So, yeah. And, even there's a beautiful one too. I'm just trying to think of who wrote the lyrics for this one, but from the old cup of wine we will both drink, just to sort of say out we're joined in union forever. It's just, there's just so many beautiful
That's lovely.
bits of poetry. Yeah.
What about, so Kat's dad, Yanni, he actually writes poetry.
Yes, he does, actually. Some beautiful poetry. I don't know any of it off by heart. I'm really sorry. But, he would love to share that with you one day. But he wrote a beautiful poem about the marbles, the Greek marbles, that obviously having a lot of issues with trying to get them back to Greece. And then he wrote one about living in Ithaca and growing up and then leaving, which was so beautiful. And there's a line in there saying, when you come back, it doesn't matter how old you are, the little taverna will always remember you and it will always shout you a drink. And it's like, like you can just see that, like a little old man coming back to this like home village from being overseas and living in Australia or wherever all his life, and then knowing that there'll always be someone that remembers you. And I think, it's just beautiful. So, poetry is very powerful. And a lot of the music that we sing is sort of, if you think about that Western culture of art song, where the poetry is written, the music sort of written to coincide with that. That's very much the strength of the Greek music that we sing, the entechno style of music. And Nana and Manos and Nikos Gatsos did a lot of that together. They wrote, Nikos would write the lyrics, Manos would put them to music, Nana would sing, they would sort of work off each other and create beautiful masterpieces.
Beautiful. I love your dad's reference to, you'll always be remembered. And but because you're part of the ecosystem.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how far you travel, you're still part of that ecosystem, that orbit, and I think with Girl from Greece, I think that's what we I think that's what we really want. We want everyone who's in our orbit, to know that you're part of us, and we're part of you. And I think the 23rd of September, so that's a Saturday night, by the way, it's Spring Hill. I think the parking is going to be okay. You just have to park along that main stretch there. We just love to, I think it's just going to be like a little musical feast that we're there to present our family and our friends, and you're part of that. So please come along and be part of it for that evening. And then there'll be more where this came from.
Definitely.
Definitely be putting on more concerts. And then, of course, we've got the big one next year, which will be the Nana Mouskouri project that we're cooking up at the moment. But thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for interviewing. I didn't ask you any questions.
No, well, I feel way more comfortable being this person.
Okay, that's all right.
We'll
have to switch it one day.
Let's be honest. Honesty is my is my love language when it comes to things like that. But I just think you're wonderful. You've honestly, for someone so young, you're only in your 40s. Early 40s, just want to add. You're just a beacon of wisdom. Aww. And I feel like, just to blow a little bit of smoke, but Kat's such a calming force. She's a master self-regulator, and that helps everybody else calms down. So it's interesting when the big feelings, come up. It's which is in the music, it's in our culture, it's in the music. You've got this beautiful way of, your thing is, just sit with it, accept it. Yes, and then just slowly.
Yes, you get out.
Yeah, exactly. Aww. I think it's beautiful. Do you have any last things you'd like to say?
No, really just thanks for listening.
What's one of your favourite songs at the moment that you just keep pumping? It doesn't have to be Greek.
Oh, look, I'm a big house music fan. I love Rufus Du Sol. listening to some 90s old stuff, old school. But I do love the Greek song Tora που πας στη ξενυχτιά. You're going to write that down. That's a Nana Muscuri one. Manos Hadzidakis and Nikos Katsos. I don't know. There's just something about it. Yeah. That Tora που πας στη ξενυχτιά πολύ θα γίνω το νοτιά γρήγορα να σ' ανταμώσω να σου φέρω το σταυρό που μωρά βαράγγελες να βρω δάχτυλίδι να σου δώσω. There's something about it. I don't know. I think I mucked up the words there on the second line, but that's okay. On the spot. Whatever.
You're on the spot.
I'm on the spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love that wilting movement. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I immediately, like I wasn't even just trying to show off. I felt it in my body.
Yeah, and it's sort of just, So Paul's going to play that one for me. It's going to be amazing.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Oh, well, thanks so much for listening. And yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks.
And I guess we'll see you on the 23rd of September.
We will.
Saturday night at Speak Up Studios in Spring Hill. It's beautiful theatre. Yeah, really, really pretty. Lots of fairy lights.
Lots of fairy lights.
Lots of Greek music and a little supper afterwards.
Yay.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.